Hey everyone, welcome back into On Isles Time. Brendan Yerkes, Cole Healy here for episode number 20 already. It's been a eventful season, eventful couple of weeks. The Islanders now not having their best stretch of games as it's getting tight with only 6 games remaining. They lost back-to-back games the last 2 nights, and now we're in the home stretch here as it's going to probably be our last episode of the regular season before all the games are over and done with. But not feeling too confident right now, Cole. I'm sure you feel the same way.
It's been a rough stretch. It's like, that Pittsburgh game was just so big. And like there's so much on the line going into it, and then you get a 3-1 lead and just throw it all away. And like,
Can't
okay,
happen.
they've been good in the second half of back to backs, and then in Buffalo it's just not great, not what you want to see. So now, yeah, 6 games left, got a tough stretch coming up. So you just gotta hope they can pull it out. But yeah, I'm not feeling too confident right now.
Well, we're going to break it all down as the Islanders, like I said, have 6 games remaining. Going to take a look at some strong performances as of late, who's been struggling, and yeah, look at the other teams in the race and see where the Islanders stand, and hopefully predict that they will end up in the Stanley Cup playoffs when it's all said and done. 2 weeks from now, their last game is on April 14th. It's a Tuesday, so this is today is April 1st, so we're going to have an episode 2 weeks from today on that Wednesday following the last game against the Carolina Hurricanes. But it's getting down to it. Before we get started, I'm going to remind you to follow us on social media at On Isles Time on TikTok, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel On Isles Time, and find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, more specifically Spotify and Apple. All right, things are tight. 4-5 since the last episode we recorded before the Islanders started their little mini Canadian road trip and went to Toronto, who's been struggling this year. They played well that game, scored a couple of power play goals. Cal Ritchie, big factor back in his hometown. Matthew Schaefer, obviously in his hometown there as well. Braden Shen scored his first goal as an Islander. And yeah, it was a good start to the trip, but things kind of went down after that.
Yeah, I couldn't watch that Toronto game, but I kept checking my phone throughout, and yeah, it looks like that was a good start for that stretch. Obviously, um, yeah, Richie obviously had a big game in his homecoming. Braden Shen finally got on or he had a couple assists before, and then finally got his first goal that night in Toronto. Yeah, and then followed up with just a heartbreaking loss in Ottawa on that Thursday night. Just win. It's the games like that. Like obviously, we've been so lucky to have so many comebacks this year, and have so many games where maybe we shouldn't have won. Um, so it's like okay, you can maybe that's just the hockey gods balancing it out there with that Ottawa loss. But that extra point would be real nice to have right about now. And then yeah, I mean you go into Montreal to finish out that road trip, another huge game, and just not a good performance at all from anyone.
It's just so tough because you think of every single point that they've left on the table and how meaningful it would be right now. Like you said, being up 3-1 against Pittsburgh, which is, now a week and a half after this little stretch here. But, you think, all right, you could at least, if you blow the lead, get it to OT, which I thought wasn't the worst case scenario in that game. Just to, Pittsburgh might get the game in hand, but while you have that little lead, just like get your own points. That's all that matters. Get points and shut out teams below you. But yeah, that Ottawa game, 11 seconds to go. I couldn't watch that game. I was out that night, but just tracking it, I was sitting there stressing, just get to OT, get to OT. Doesn't matter that Ottawa's behind you because they can't catch you if you also get points. And just a brutal goal, chopped up play, ends up in the back of the net, and just absolutely brutal. Ottawa's stumbling right now, but still, that's not on their sake, more for our sake that the Islanders didn't end up with any points in that game, and they seemingly played decent enough to win. And then, the Saturday game in Montreal, it's even more frustrating because they came out and they scored first, and then Montreal fights back. I mean, the Islanders were up what? It was 1-0 after one, I think, right?
So
Oh no, was it 1-1 pretty quick?
I know it's the
No,
last
I'm all
couple of
confused here.
ongoing. I
Montreal
don't know.
scored first. I'm pretty
Right,
sure.
and then
So they went up 1-0.
Heineman came
The
down.
Islanders, yeah, Heineman scored, and then the Islanders ended up 2-1 after the first period. The second period, that was the first period where the Islanders didn't play too well. They actually were pretty lucky to be out up in that first period. The second period, they were much better. They were the better team, and they were driving play, hit a couple of posts, could not score. Were very close to getting that next goal and making a 2-goal lead. They couldn't. They give up a goal late in the second period, take a dumb penalty, give up a power play goal to Mr. Saturday Night Cole Caulfield, and then they find themselves down by a goal after having a great second period. So then they come back, they start the third with a power play. Matthew Schaefer scores. That's the last time he scored. Howitzer from the point, 3-3. You're like, all right, early in the third, tie game, they're in it. Montreal's a fast team. That was a playoff atmosphere, stressful, like crazy energy into that game. And then from that point on, it all fell apart. Gave up a whole bunch of goals, and then they obviously pulled Ilya Sorokin and put him in the next night. Not an ideal scenario there. But then what's crazy about this Islanders team? The next night they have a game at home against Columbus. That was at that point the biggest game of the season. And then they go and they score in the first minute, and then they hold it out for 59 minutes and shut out the Columbus Blue Jackets 1-0. So it's just so unpredictable, this team, and it's going so back and forth that the points that they're leaving on the table is hurting them, because what do they do after that game? They go out against Chicago. They score early again. First minute goal again. And then what do? They give up 4 unanswered. They end up going down 4-1. The third period was one of their best periods of the season. They crawl back, make it a 1-goal game, can't get the tying one, and then give up 2 points to a bottom 3 NHL team in Chicago. So it's just so frustrating that this season has had so many great moments, and everything good that's happened to me is just becomes a wash, and it's for naught if they don't end up making the playoffs because of their own fault as of late, leaving points on the table. I said for so long, you know what? They could have done things better, but it's not fully their fault just because the other teams in this playoff race are playing unreal hockey and that the Eastern Conference has never been this good. So, yeah, it's a little unfair to say, oh, it's completely their fault. But they haven't been winning games that they're supposed to be winning. But then they're winning games that they're not supposed to be winning. It's like the opposite. It's so unpredictable and it's so frustrating that they could have not ran away with the race, but been in a comfortable spot to be in the playoffs with 6 games to go. But now we know it's going to have to come down to the wire. And if it keeps continuing like this, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, it's like I feel like we've seen this for so many years. I don't want to say they'll play down because, every team is so good. But, like, the games like Chicago, right? Like, it seems like they got off to a good start. And then I don't want to say they sat back, but, it's a couple. The Barzal turnover was just bad. And then no one was back. And it's like just things like that, and then it's almost like they're in shock, and then the game gets away from them, and then like they had that great third period, couldn't find that last goal to tie it,
Yeah.
and then and obviously that was right after the Columbus game again, like you said, biggest game of the year up to that point. So you go from that, then to losing to Chicago, then you follow that up with a regulation win against Dallas. Like it's just like it seems like they'll get up for those good teams, and then they have a tough time for the teams that they should beat. And it's just so frustrating because like you said, there's so many points on the table that they're up for grabs. Again, another one similar to the Chicago game was that Kings game at home. Like they had so many chances in that third period and just couldn't find that tying goal, couldn't get to overtime, couldn't get that 1 point. It's just so frustrating. Now it seems like some of these other teams are starting to cool off a little bit. Like, I know Columbus has had a couple of regulation losses recently. So, we're getting help now, but the help doesn't matter if the Islanders aren't.
Right, and that's what's so crazy, that losing these back-to-back games, like yesterday, on Tuesday night, everybody else lost. So the Islanders held their position, which, in hindsight, it's a good thing, but you wish, obviously, you won and built a little lead there, points-wise, but you can't complain that everybody else lost. But to add to what you were saying, it's just these little moments that they have. It's these mental lapses and these minutes at a time that they fall asleep, and that's what's going to kill their whole season. We've seen it all year, specifically, like you said, that Kings game, that Blackhawks game, 3 boneheaded plays, and then they find themselves down in the game, and the Kings game. You take a period off in the NHL, you're going to pay for it. There were so many games, and especially from the Olympic break, coming back from the Olympic break to now, they've been down by multiple goals in at least 5 games, probably more than that, just off the top of my head. But that's not sustainable. They came back and won the first 3 of them somehow. By some miracle, they put up points there. But you can't do it all the time. You can't take the minutes off. You can't come out flat to a game and expect to win with the next 50 minutes. Obviously, that's a lot of time. But they did it on Saturday, too, against Florida. I mean, awesome second period. Being there, the crowd was into it. There were a lot of kids there. It was really just a fun day overall. But they found themselves down 2-0. And obviously, Matthew Tkachuk is a tremendous player, and we all love him. Through the legs goal, awesome. But That was a bad play off a turnover. The first one that he scored. The Islanders have a great shift. Hit the post. Schaefer trip. Probably a penalty. They don't call it. What happens? He sees his team get possession. He flies out the zone. They hit him for a breakaway. Bam. So you go from almost scoring one on one end, giving up a goal on the other end. I feel like that's happened to the Islanders too many times that they haven't gotten the extra goal when they have a lead or when it's tied. They haven't gotten that puck into the net to give themselves a little cushion, and then it hurts them. They go down 2-0. Obviously, they responded well in that second against the bad Florida team, put up 5 goals in a row. Obviously, needed a little bit of luck. Mark Gatcomb getting a lucky bounce in that one, but just these mental lapses you're seeing hurt them. That's what happened against Pittsburgh on Monday. They were up 3-1, and they kind of sat back, and then, bam, Mantha walks in. There's a shorthanded goal that really turned the tide. I mean, shorthanded, obviously one guy pulled back, and somebody go to the puck carrier when he entered the zone. They didn't. They just backed up. They let a forward slip through. Nice pass in, tap in, goal. Bam. Place goes silent. Then another quick one. They were all similar. They just sat back and were lazy. And then after Pittsburgh went up 4-3, then 5-3, I think they just gave up. And the third period was kind of just cooked from that point. And then you see it last night. The Islanders did not have their best. They had to travel on a back-to-back. Sorokin playing back-to-back days. Buffalo was off since Saturday. That's all understandable, okay? Like, you're not going to have your best game every night. They have responded well this year, so I expected, a good fight for them to be in it, and they were in it. They held strong defensively for the most part, and they were in the game, but I didn't expect them to have this great offensive performance or this great energetic performance after, playing their third game in 4 nights. That's going to happen. But they were in it, but the frustrating part is the goals against, obviously 2 power play goals, but just a mental lapse and a lazy play by Carson Soucy, who has struggled immensely down the stretch for the Islanders since they've acquired him. Just a lazy play. He gets beat to the puck, lets his guy go around the net, and then Peyton Krebs slips in. 2 guys in front of the net on defense. Don't see him. Let him get into a very nice area at the top of the crease. He taps it in, and then bam. The Islanders go from getting a lucky bounce from Anders Lee to tie it, which they needed. 4 more minutes just to get to overtime. Even if you lose there, you get a point. To then you're down, you need another one. They can't find it, give up an empty netter, and then add, insult to injury. They score with a second left, but just the mental lapses, like a 10-second lapse that was a nothing play of a dump in with a guy going to get the puck, turns into a goal against, and then you get no points. And that's the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's just so, we've been talking about this whole year. It's just such a tight race that, again, really every single point matters. If this team ends up missing the playoffs, there's so many of these moments where we can go back to. The Ottawa one is still somewhat fresh. That's probably the biggest one right now. Just 11 more seconds and you get an extra point.
I don't forget the Nashville game end of January.
Yeah, that was rough. What was that, 2-0 early on, and then just threw that away.
But that adds to that other point, though. Just they can't get the extra goal. They get the 2-0 lead and they sat back. If they find the extra goal and make it 3-0, it's still possible to come back, but it's not as easy. Yeah. And then they let it slip away. Then bam, give them a goal in the last minute. This is the things that happen.
And then it seems like every single mistake they make ends up in the back of their net, and I think that just adds to the frustration, because it's so many of them are it's preventable, it's simple. Again, obviously, it's moving. It's easy for us to say, right? Game's moving so fast. It is what it's the NHL. It's the best league in the world, right? So it's easy for us to sit here on our couch and say, oh, we should have done this, should have done this. But it does seem like every time they make a mistake, especially that Chicago game, that was bad. It's they made maybe 3 bad mistakes, and every single one was a goal. And then it's what are you gonna do? It's just tough to get back into it after that mentally. And then they had that push late, that third period, and then couldn't find that tying goal. And so there's just so many moments you can point back to where they've had a chance to help themselves in this race. Now, they're 3 points back at Pittsburgh. Obviously, and Pittsburgh has a game in hand, but even just one of these games, right? I'll just use Ottawa as the example again. You get to overtime, you're sitting at 90 points right now, with Pittsburgh at 92. There's only the 1 game difference. That's still manageable. You can overtake them still. I mean, they can still overtake them, right? It's 3 points. But definitely, with the way they're playing, they've been good. So who knows? But you can just have 1 extra point, and home ice is still a very realistic possibility for the first round. And it still is, obviously. Pittsburgh's got 7 games left. Islanders have 6. But yeah, like now the pressure's really on because you can still win, but we have one more game played than 1 or 2 more games played than most of these other teams that are still in the race. So it's like, yeah, you can hope that everyone else loses, right? Never feels good when that's the case, when you got to do all the scoreboard watching. Like last night, okay, good. We lost, but so did everyone else behind us. It's like, okay, you can, obviously that's a good thing, right? But you don't want to be in that position where you have to be scoreboard watching the whole time. Just win what's in front of you, control your own destiny, and then let the rest take care of itself. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough stretch coming up too with some good teams. Um, like Philly's not out of it. We got Carolina twice, and then I got those 3 Eastern Canadian teams. So definitely have to take that Leafs game. Um,
That's yeah, must
that's a
win.
team that's struggling. There's no excuse to not take that one. Yeah, I mean, you never know. We got five of these last 6 are at home, so really gotta take advantage of that. I'm sure it's gonna be a playoff atmosphere every single one of those games at UBS.
Has to be. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no excuses. I mean, my mindset this whole time has been just win. Like, it doesn't matter what happens around you if you win your games. Now, obviously, you're not going to win every game, and you want to be rooting for these other teams. But if you win most of the games that you have in front of you, you're probably going to be in the playoffs. Even with as crazy as it's been, them being in the spot they're in would guarantee them that. Now it's up for grabs still. There's no way to tell. But the Islanders schedule, like you said, it's Philly on Friday night. Then Saturday night they're in Carolina. I don't know why there's a back to back. Then they have 4 days off. Keep in mind, there's 2 days off before this back to back, so there's no reason for that one to exist in the first place. Before it's Toronto Thursday, and then Ottawa and Montreal Saturday, Sunday. So another back to back for some reason after all these days off, and then the last Tuesday is the 14th at home against Carolina, and that's a team that's given the Islanders some trouble in the last few seasons. So not an ideal matchup. I mean, all these teams are tough. Like even like Toronto will play them hard, as as bad as they've been. It still makes it a must win. But now like every game becomes the most important game of the season. We said it against Columbus, now Pittsburgh, and now it's like Phillies is in it. Like Philly is not like they're down there, but like maybe they'll make a run. Like they are in the race now. Like they are equal with Ottawa and Washington, who's now kind of in it, but they're also kind of not at the same time. But they're like with Columbus like as the same level of a threat now. They're 8-2-1 now in their last 11 games, so they've shot out of nowhere. I mean, again, the Islanders played well most of the season, but they didn't really have a threat for that Metropolitan Division spot. Yes, for the wild card, but with Columbus being as far back as they were, and Philly being pretty far down there too, that Pittsburgh and the Islanders held that 2 and 3 spot for months with no conquest until Columbus went on this mega streak. So these are the teams that we need to beat out. And I was just looking before at their schedules. That was the Islanders' schedule, but it's all very similar. Like Columbus plays Carolina as well. They also play a lot of these Atlantic teams. So looking at the Columbus schedule right now, they play Carolina, Winnipeg at home, then a 3-game road trip, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal. That's not going to be easy. So hopefully, a lot of them playing each other helps. Then they close it out at home with 2 games, Boston and Washington. So that's not an easy schedule for Columbus either. Looking at the Philly schedule, they play Detroit at home on Thursday night before they come and play the Islanders. So hopefully they're a little tired and obviously playing Detroit, who's now has their backs against the wall and need to get in. Then they play Boston at home, 3-game road trip, New Jersey, Detroit, Winnipeg, and then they close out with 2 games at home, back-to-back Carolina and Montreal. So again, that's another not easy schedule for a team chasing. And looking at that, they play the back to back before they play us. Well, it looks like Carolina, like I just said, plays the night before they come to UBS. So that's another thing that you got to take advantage of. We have a bunch of back to backs we're playing, but when you're playing a team on a back to back, you need to take advantage of that. And the last one, just to look at Washington, they're still technically in it. They play New Jersey on the road, only have 2 home games out of their last couple here, which is crazy. At home against Buffalo, 3-game road trip, Rangers, Toronto, Pittsburgh, back to then home against Pittsburgh, and they close out, like I said, against Columbus on the 14th. So a lot of these teams playing each other. That's the benefit. The Islanders now don't really play the teams in their specific race as much now after Friday. I mean, then Ottawa would be the other one, but some of these teams, a lot of Detroit, a lot of Washington, Columbus, they're all against each other, which is a good thing. I think, because obviously somebody has to win, and somebody has to lose. Now, if there's a loser point, that makes it complicated. But if we can get the favorable results we want, I think that bodes well for the Islanders. But again, it only comes down to one thing: winning their own games. And now it's going to be like these off days are just stressful, waiting for the next one.
Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of these teams are wrapping up on that Tuesday, the 14th. And it's like I'm looking here at the really only the Senators and Red Wings are playing on the Wednesday, so that's the day after the Islanders, and a lot of those other teams get wrapped up on Tuesday. At that point, you hope you don't have to be scoreboard watching there. You hope the Islanders just get in with a Metro spot. The only way those games would matter is if it's they're still if they're in a wild card spot. Yeah, like it's gonna be a stressful finish. And then past years you'd see like Carolina, right? Like you'd see maybe they'd rest their guys that last game. They're still a tough race for number one in the East. They're tied with Buffalo right now. The Canes have a game in hand. And then Tampa's right behind them with 98 points, while Buffalo and Carolina both have 100. So you're not getting any help for anyone else. Like it really is going to be a dogfight to the end. And again, having 5 of these last 6 games at home is going to be huge. And the game Saturday night, I know there's 2 or 3 sections that are going to be all Isles fans. So I mean, you got to hope. Gotta hope that kind of gives that home atmosphere a little bit. I know I will be there. There's gonna be a lot of people. I know a lot of people fired up to go. What's up?
We need it. We need you to get a win.
We do need it. This needs to be the day my losing streak ends. And at this point, you know what? I'm feeling good. I wasn't feeling too good in October. The game at UBS I was at against Vancouver in December, it was like, you hope they win, but it's, I really didn't have any expectations. This time around, I feel confident. Like this whole week, they got a lot of time off. Obviously they got the game at home against Philly the night before. I'm feeling that's just going to be like, a nice send off for this final road game of the year. And then again, got all day in Raleigh to prepare. Like I don't know what it is. It's a different feeling.
You're giving me chills,
dude. Yeah, like it's time. It's long overdue. The last time I saw a win was Barry Trotz's first month as coach. October 28th, 2018. It's been way too long.
Making me feel old.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in 7th grade. That was a time.
Well, I think we should shift focus now from
Definitely.
overall and the race. We could kind of look at individual players here and how things have been going and some storylines there with the Islander players. I think we could talk about Schaefer here. Still been good, but I think you could tell that he's kind of hitting that he's played so many games wall a little bit, and he's still driving to the net and making nice moves and playing good defensively. So this is not a negative conversation here. I mean, before it was a little bit because, I mean, we've been pretty positive all year. I think we tried to keep the optimism. We've been very strong about that, and new era and positive about Darch. I know a lot of people are not happy with him right now on Twitter, but I think just that it's more so like skepticism now than it is full on negativity. But we've been very positive for a while, just keeping the faith, and now here we are in a tough situation. Anyways, back to Schaefer. Hasn't scored since that Montreal game, which I feel like it's his longest streak of the season without scoring.
It feels long.
Might not be true, but it feels that way. And yeah, like I think it just goes to that they can't rely on him for everything. Like he's playing well still. It's just like, but it's when he was scoring, the team was winning more because he's that good. And I think they've put too much emphasis on his game for the greater good of the team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like he's got 6 points in his last 5 games, all assists. Yeah, he had those back-to-back games with goals in Ottawa and Montreal. Doesn't have a goal since. Like he's still been good. He's still been playing well. I feel like I've seen a couple people saying he's like pushing too hard almost to get that, because his next goal will tie Brian Leach. I don't think that's really anything.
Somebody's gonna put the puck on the net. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
throw it on net. Take a shot.
He had what was it, 15 shot attempts or something? It was something ridiculous. I think maybe 8 went on net. Like he's been doing this all year. He's been shooting it a ton all year. And then now with Tony DeAngelo being hurt, right? Like that's another offensive defenseman that you're missing now. It's like, Adam Boqvist had 2 assists the other night. I'm not a big Boqvist fan. That's another conversation. But yeah, like if there's even more pressure on Schaefer now because DeAngelo isn't here to kind of, provide some of that, I don't want to say secondary scoring, obviously, with him being a defenseman, but like he's a guy that's he can skate it up. DeAngelo will put it on net. And then yeah, like now he's missed these last few games, so Schaefer's really the guy now. Yeah, so the goal scoring hasn't been there this last week or so with Schaefer, but yeah, he's still playing well. Like he went from playing 17 games last year to he's played every game this year, all 76. So yeah, it's just 18 years old. Like it's a lot on the body. Like I don't even want to call. Like, you can't even call it like a normal rookie wall because he's still been so good. He's still been
Oh
so
yeah, he has
productive.
a point per game still, so it's
Yeah,
he's putting up the assists. But I think you know what I mean. But like I'm just
it's
saying
not.
like he hasn't been scoring as much, and I think it's because like the Islanders are putting too much pressure on him to like kind of be the reason they're winning,
Yeah,
which he's been a big part. They're not there without him. Obviously,
yeah,
he is the main factor, but that pressure is like being thrown on him with everybody else injured. I mean, you brought up D'Angelo. What a loss that's been.
yeah,
He played every game since joining the Islanders up until that game against Chicago on that back check on the first Chicago goal. He gets hurt, and now it's like there's no other puck moving defenseman that you feel trustworthy with. Like a guy like D'Angelo, you take the defensive like liability moments because of the good offense and because of how he moves the puck, how he runs the power play, and then all of a sudden he's gone and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe his defense wasn't as bad as we thought it was
yeah,
because now what you're dealing with is worse. So
yeah.
I hope they bring him back. Hopefully he is healthy enough to maybe go this weekend. Haven't had any updates. I don't even think he was on the ice yesterday in
No.
morning skate. If that, and actually they didn't do morning skate. Whenever they had practice last, I don't think he was on the ice. Maybe he could just jump right back in 2 days and be good to go. That would be ideal because I really think they need him back. And Boquist I guess has done a fine job coming in. I'm not a fan of his game either. I think he's too small and just no, he moves the puck well and is solid offensively, just not good at all defensively. I think he
Yeah, I mean
gets pushed around.
that shorthanded goal against Pittsburgh, like he just kept backing up, like, and then
Yeah,
it's like he goes down
exactly.
to block it, but he's not even in the passing lane. Like
Yeah,
it's
he
just
just backed
really
up. You
frustrating.
gotta attack the forward there.
Yeah,
That was a specifically bad moment, but he's putting up assists. That's the thing. Like, but I think he needs to come out. But yeah, we need D'Angelo back desperately to help the D. And Alex Romanov's been skating with the team in non-contact jerseys. So if the Islanders could find a way to get into the playoffs, the Susie nightmare might be over because
yeah,
Romanov will be back and ready to go. So yeah, Susie has been bad. I mean, we could discuss it. Let's keep it on the D for now. Just Carson Soucy has not been good. Like I said, the bad moment last night in Buffalo was not fun, costing the Islanders the game. He had 2 penalties last night, high stick, just reckless, and he's been a -9 since coming here. So, not good enough. It's just like they brought him in as a reward to the team. Like, oh, let's get a veteran guy. I don't want. I'd rather see a Marshall Warren or an Isaiah George because if they're making those mistakes for a team that's supposed to be on the rise, you're making mistakes and learning, and it's you could accept them from a young player, but from a
yeah,
guy that can't move very well and doesn't skate the best and gets beat and is only really good on the wall. I think he's a good wall player. He's physical, but in open ice, he's just getting skated around and walked through, and it's just not working.
yeah. And like the big thing with him was it's gonna take penalty killing minutes away from Schaefer, kind of make the load easier on him. Schaefer played what 32 minutes the other night. It's like I feel like his ice time. Like again, this part of this is because of D'Angelo, right? But like his ice time has gone up. I feel like since Susie's come on board because you just can't trust him out there. So you need Schaefer to play even more. You're relying on Schaefer and Pelech as like the two left-handed guys that you can actually trust. Yeah, it's been rough for Susie.
Is it just that the Islanders can't be wrong and like have to keep playing him, like, or are they gonna finally be like, we need to take him out?
I would
He's
I
a
would love
veteran
to
player.
see Isaiah George get a chance. Like I thought that one or two games he played right before the Susie trade. Like I think he had an assist the last game he played. Like yeah, sure, he's not gonna be out there killing penalties. I think that's like the big thing. I know that's been like the conversation of why he's not playing over Susie. But at this point, like I don't again, it's like Susie's been around a while, right? Like you know what you're getting with him, but it's just been bad. It's like how much worse can Isaiah George be? How much worse can Marshall Warren be?
And that's the most frustrating part is that they traded like an asset, like a
Yeah,
third round pick, but they traded to get him, and it's
yeah,
made it worse. Like the situation has gotten worse since he has gotten here.
yeah. Yeah, like I
So
thought I thought Warren was really solid when he was up. Again, it's like these guys are young, right? So they're gonna make mistakes. They don't have that NHL experience that Susie has. So it's like in theory it makes sense, the Susie trade, but it's like it's time to end the experiment. Like we've seen what's happened. Yeah, it's been tough to watch. and especially when you know you have these two guys like ready to go. Like, and then there's just so many left defensemen in the system. Obviously, Aitchison, he's obviously not. He hasn't turned pro yet. He's still playing in juniors. But it's like even if it's just putting George or Warren in, right? Maybe they're not in the long term plans, but at least give them more experience, and then who knows? Maybe you move them, one of them, at some point to kind of open that spot up, so there's no one blocking Aitchison. Um, there's just so many other reasons, like for the bigger picture, you could be putting these guys in, letting them not only get experience, but just kind of, I guess, showcase them for other teams. Again, that's a completely different topic. You don't have to
All
go
right, we
there.
know Susie's going to be gone at the end of this year,
Yeah,
and they're not. There's no way they bring him back. I don't. If they do, that there might be riots. But
yeah,
Schaefer said that he's played the right side when he was younger, so that's huge. If they decide like, all right, we can play him on the right, then that opens up a left side spot and bolsters the right, and then that could set up for that Aegis Schaefer pair one day,
yeah.
maybe.
That would
Again,
be
different
that'd be fun to
conversation,
watch.
but that's very huge to have him like versatile like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like every time you think it's like, okay, we've already been blessed with this draft lottery win and getting Schaefer, right? And then yeah, just right towards the end of the year, he just drops that on you. I forget which game it was that he played on the right side. Like he looked
I think it
good.
was Chicago because D'Angelo went out, so I think he had to fill
Right,
in
yeah,
there a little
yeah.
bit.
So he was taking D'Angelo's spot on the right side. And it's like, yeah, like he was had a great game that day. I think that was the when he played 32 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's just when you think it can't get better, he drops that on you. So now you can throw him on the right side for a team that has no right defenseman coming up. Like it's been, like like obviously that I know that was like a big thing. That was like the one downside, in my opinion, of trading Dobson, is you don't have anyone like you have no one really, no prospects on the right side coming up. But yeah, like if you can put Schaefer there, and then you got all these guys on the left side coming up, like that's just having that ability is just so big for this team. And who knows? Yeah, maybe you throw him there, take Susie out, throw a George or Warren in, and then yeah, if you can find a way to get into the playoffs, Romanov can come back. And obviously Romanov struggled early on when he was playing. Who knows how healthy he was throughout those struggles? I know I think it was Edmonton. He got hurt, missed a couple games, came back, and then yeah, the game against Dallas, he went to the boards hard off the Rantanen hit. Now obviously hasn't played since then. But hopefully, I feel like he's been skating for 2-ish weeks. We've been getting like some updates on him. Um, so yeah, if they can find a way to get into the playoffs, that would be a huge boost to get back, and then you get back to that left side that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and was so frustrated with Romanov. I think just with like the way he was playing, because he's not really an offensive player. He's not good offensively, but I think he's more of like a physical like shutdown D man. And I think that's what they've been lacking all year. Obviously, Adam Pelech has been fantastic this season, and
Yeah,
not to take away from that, but just to have another one who's like kind of young and not like an older player who plays that style. Because obviously Pelech is a little bit older, so to have a Romanov would be so huge. And I don't think like maybe like a Romanov Schaefer if you put Schaefer on the right, but just like to have him back in instead of Susie, like effectively playing like the same style of game but with more speed and more physicality is just a game changer. So that's kind of what's been forgotten, and like everyone wants to judge players just based on like one straight line, but there's so many factors of like what you expect from a different player. Like that's why I always talk about Scott Mayfield. Like he always gets belittled by fans all the time, but it's like he's a cheap third pairing guy that eats up minutes and has a few mistakes here and there. Yes, he has some bad plays and turnovers. Yes, it's going to happen, but it's a third pairing defenseman in the NHL, and we're not like the best team in the league where you're going to have like a ridiculous decor. So you're going to have to take those losses. Like Susie, if it happens here and there, fine, but it's just like it's happening too much, and
yeah,
that's what the problem is. So
yeah. For a
with
guy
the
that's been
injuries
around as
on
long
D,
as Susie, it's like that trade happens because he's a veteran. He's been around a while, but you're just seeing there's just too much, too many mistakes. And
but
then
was he
yeah,
doing this with the
that's the
Rangers? I
frustrating.
mean, they were bad, so maybe, but
Yeah, I mean, I remember being Rangers fans ecstatic that they were getting a third for him. Like they couldn't believe it.
right. I mean, I when I saw that notification, I was like, "Oh, Carson Soucy, that makes no sense." And I was like, "A third? Like, come
Yeah,
on!
it's
Like,
just
you're trading the Rangers a third round. Like, just give him like a sixth and be like, here you go." I mean, the whole Darch like anti-Darch agenda is ridiculous. It's been 1 year. Like, let it play out. You don't have to agree with the moves or be thrilled with it. Like, again, I'm not like I'm not thrilled about the Palat deal right in this moment because he has been struggling arguably worse than Susi. The two moves to reward the team have backfired extremely. It's just, I mean, should we talk about Palat now? He has scored his first
Might as
game,
well, yeah.
and he had an assist, I think, in that game too. And he only has, I
Yeah.
think, two more assists since then. And that was in what, January?
Yeah, it was like late January. Those that range of when
Feels like a
Ranger
lifetime
just
ago. And
joined.
he's just like doing cardio out there, but he's just like takes so long to get going. He's late to every play. He's, you know, loses the puck. I feel like every time he hits the puck, it like bounces off of him and goes to the other team.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's bad.
tough to watch. Yeah, again, he has that first that goal in his first game against the Rangers. Doesn't have a goal since. I can't even tell. I'm looking at his stats right now. It's March 1st, so it's been a month since his last point. And then yeah, like that game against Florida, he had that bad turnover leading to the one of the Kachuk goals. Like he just put it right on his tape in front of the net. And yeah, like he's again like he was brought in for the playoff experience, right? But he is hurting the chances of making the playoffs at this point. So it's like
Right,
it
but
doesn't
like they
matter.
say he's a playoff performer, and obviously this isn't the playoffs yet, but it basically is to get
Yeah,
there. So they said this is when he comes up and plays his best hockey. Well,
it's
it
been like
hasn't
oh
been that.
yeah,
You can't see
it's
his
been
playoff
it's been
ability if he
long.
doesn't play well in the games that get you there.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's if they buy him out, it's not the end of the world. We said before it's like 2.75 this next year, then like 1.5 the year after. So
yeah, it's very
it
very
just
cheap
that's just like
buyout,
another
very
thing you have to
doable.
deal with.
Yeah, I honestly at this point I think that's the best play rather than having. I'm not even that worried about the cap hit because you know the cap is going up so much, and you know we've got Schaefer and Richie on their ELCs, and then who knows, maybe we'll have Eklund up next year. Like I'm really not worried about the cap. I know a lot of people are not happy with that, and that's part of that. All the Darsh haters, which yeah, I agree. It hasn't been long enough to have like hatred that strong already. I don't even know if hatred is the word, but like it just hasn't been long enough. Like you got to give
I'm
it
seeing fire
years
darts on
to get
Twitter.
to
I'm
that
like, what
point.
are we doing
Yeah,
here? I
like
mean,
it's
come
you
on.
can't. It hasn't even been a year. Like that's ridiculous this early on. But yeah, like
Everybody just changes their mind every 5 seconds based on what's happening. I mean, if the Islanders win Friday and Saturday, everybody's going to be like planning the parade again. And listen, I've gotten roped into the highs and lows of the season just because after these two games, it's like it feels like doom and gloom because
yeah,
it's like you lose these two games and you're running out of games and like if you
yeah,
don't win like you can't look at a game and be like, oh, we're going to win that one like ahead of time.
yeah,
Like you don't know what's going to happen. So that's why I think everyone's just like on edge like with that stress, but yeah, those guys haven't helped. But like you brought up Cal Ritchie, and he's been like, probably one of their better players
yeah,
over the last couple of games. He's been blossoming, turning into a star, I think, in the making in the next couple of years. He's been really, really good. And obviously, Braden Shen been a big help to him. But, that's another thing I saw somebody post. Like, they trade for Palat because it's going to help the team win and get to the playoffs. Well, Cal Ritchie's the one putting up points. The younger player, like the second youngest player on the team, is the reason that they're in the race still right now.
yeah,
So make that make sense.
yeah. I got a stat right here. It was on Twitter. Yeah, before the Shen trade, and we can get to Shen after Richie because he's been playing solid recently. Yeah, so Richie had 7 goals and 9 assists in 46 games before the Shen trade, and then since then he has 5 goals and 6 assists in 13 games. I mean, part of like some of that he's been playing on the wing, right? Um, which is a change for him. He's really been that center the whole year, his natural position. It's almost like the same thing with Barzal, where you're taking some of that responsibility away. Like he's still gonna be strong. He's been fine defensively. Richie, like I mean, he's still young. Obviously, he's in his first full season in the NHL. He's gonna get better. But yeah, just taking some of that defensive responsibility away, so there's not as much pressure, giving him a little more freedom, and then having Shen there to kind of, you know, I don't want to say show him the ropes because there's been guys that have been able to do that the whole year, right? But it's just a different perspective he's you got another perspective from a guy who's won a cup. Like Shen and Palat are the only two guys on this team that have won a cup before. Yeah, like obviously there's still a bunch of guys from the conference finals runs, but having a different perspective, an outside guy who hasn't been here the whole year, like yeah, just having that fresh pair of eyes, maybe that kind of that's it never hurts, especially from a well respected vet like Shen. Yeah, so Richie's been very good since the deadline. And yeah, I think this is obviously it'll be a couple years before this kind of production is like consistent every single year, but I could, definitely see him, putting up numbers like that. Like it's 0.85 points per game since Shen was acquired. Like I think that's very doable for Richie in, 3 years, 4 years. And then who knows, maybe when Shen's gone, he goes back to center. So, maybe that's, I don't know what that calculation is offhand, 70 points, maybe 65 points. While
That'd be
still being
great.
a very solid defensive player.
Well, they said that was his thing was the defense, and I mean, if you look at his overall stats, like this year, he's got 27 points in 59 games, right? So you're like, all right, overall, like big discrepancy there between the games played and the points number. He's a minus 10, but again, for a rookie, not everybody's going to come in and be Matthew Schaefer. So like you could take this, like take the second half of this season, right? Like you said, he's been better since Shen has been here specifically. Like now, another year older, another year of training, he can come in and hit the ground running like he did this year. And instead of, like the point discrepancy won't be there. So then he could say finish next year. Like if he ends up say with 30 this year, and then say he has 3 more points in the last 6 games here, so that'd be in 65 games he have 30 points, almost half a point per game. Next year, say he makes the jump to like 40 to up to maybe 50 range if he takes a bigger jump in 82 games next year, playing the full schedule. Like that's the progression you want to see. You're seeing it with Simon Holmstrom,
Yep.
who we'll get to, but that's what you want out of a good prospect and a good player, to have it done the right way, have him progress, play bigger moments, and playing some important games here. And he's scoring goals. He does a lot of it on the power play, which they've needed that help. But to get up to 12 goals after he wasn't scoring as many early in the season is so great to see. And I'm really like, the sky's the limit is for this kid, and I'm so excited to see him continue to grow, because I knew when we got him in that trade, I was very very excited
Yeah.
about his
I could
potential,
not
and he could really be a key piece of this team for many years to come.
Yeah, I could not believe it that we got him and the first when that return was first reported for Nelson. Speaking of the first, I know obviously a lot of people weren't happy giving that up for an older guy like Braden Shen. Shen has been very good. Again, it's just building off that same thing. Like he's got 10 points in 13 games. He's looked good. He's got 6 points in his last 3 games. Obviously, he had that 3 point game against I guess he's been good. At least offensively. I know there have been some defensive mistakes that have ended up leading to goals, but he's honestly been better than I expected him to be. Who knows? Maybe just having Richie there, having I don't know exactly what the lines were looking like in St. Louis. I remember seeing a lot of Blues fans saying that it was like if he's not playing with Kyrou, then he wasn't doing anything. So maybe Cal Ritchie is just his Kyrou here with the Islanders. But yeah, like
Well, he's playing with Barzell. I mean, that helps.
yeah, that's not gonna hurt.
But it's been
Um,
working though. Like he's looked good. I mean, Barzell obviously playing with it. Like you'd rather Barzell with like a Horvat, but for the sake of balanced lines, like it works. I think they're probably going to mix it up after losing 2 games. So we'll see who stays together. I would think Shen and Richie stay together.
yeah, I mean,
Maybe
throw
you put
Barzal
Barzell and
down
Horvat
for
together and just take your chances, then hope they can score a bunch of goals and you could outscore your problems a little bit. Not the worst thing in the world against Philly, who's kind of got a young team, young defensive core, and depending on what goalie's in, maybe the backup. So maybe they want to pounce on that Friday night. Yeah, Shen's been good. I was frustrated early on because I feel like, especially last week, he was missing a lot of grade A's. He kept finding himself in good positions and kept missing the net. But now, since that game, he's been really good, scoring a couple goals now. Big game, first star of the game on Saturday. Want to see him continue to do that, but no, that's what I said about the trade. Like I'm disappointed with how much they gave up and giving up that first round pick that they could have used to obviously either add another prospect to the system and make it even deeper. But they could have used that first to trade for somebody better, like in a package to trade for somebody better when the prices are down in the offseason. But that's not going to make me dislike Braden Shen. I think he's been fine and a solid addition for the team. But you have to just try to separate the package of the trade and then the player on the team now. Because obviously we want to see him succeed and be a big piece of this team for the next couple seasons here now. But yeah, he's been good, and it's been good to see him help Richie and see everything that he's done.
Yeah, and just one last thing on him. Like he's still, yeah, I think it's 2 more years after this, right? Like he's not a pure rental. So like yeah, I agree. I was not happy with giving up a first. But at least it's a guy, he's gonna, I mean, who knows if he obviously, you hope he keeps up this production next year. And then the year after, obviously throughout the remainder of his contract. But the good side of giving up a first here is it's a guy who's still gonna be here. So, still gonna be able to help Richie out as he's really in the most crucial years for his development. Having a guy like Shen for these next 2 years isn't is not the worst thing in the world for Cal Ritchie and really everyone that's coming up. We got all these young guys, signing, reporting to Bridgeport. Like it's going to be a lot of change over the next 2 years with all these prospects coming in.
And having the older body isn't the worst thing in the world if you clear other ones out. Like if Duclair's gone, if they fix up the fourth line a little bit. Saw something that said like you get rid of one of the fourth line guys, like maybe a McLean, and you shift Cizikas to wing, and then like put Shen or Peugeot as the fourth line center, have the other one be the third line center, and then it's like all right. So then you can kind of see that like, shape itself out, and then open up the spots for more of these younger guys to come in. But yeah, what we're looking to see. Simon Holmstrom, like we brought up before, has been fantastic since his number change. He's still, driving plays, cycling. Obviously, the Isles missed him last night, being banged up from Monday night's game. So hopefully, just a one-day thing, and he'll be back in action on Friday because they need him. He's been a key piece for them, and kind of running the show on that Peugeot, Palat, and Holmstrom line. He's been the best player. He's been playing free, and I think kind of carrying the load there as of late.
Yeah, I love his game 'cause he's just such a. It doesn't really look like he's going like too fast when you watch him. He's just such like a smooth skater. He's obviously they have him carrying it up on the second power play. Like his, I love Simon Holmstrom's game. Like he's got such a great shot. He's got good hands. Like obviously we see it in the shootout, but really just like he's another guy. Like Barzal's using his speed right. Whenever you see him carrying it up, he's using that great speed. It's like Holmstrom just kind of slips through everyone. Like he's just so smooth. And I know we were talking about Richie's development. Like I think I'm playing. I don't know exactly how many points Holmstrom had last year. I think it was like he had 20, 25 for 45 last year.
Yes, in 75 games. So right
Yeah,
now he's at 73 games, one shy of that matching that 20 goal mark, which I think he's going to get when he comes back. But yeah, only 20 assists. He's got 39 points. So in more games, he's probably going to have a few. I mean, I would think he'd put up a few more. He'll probably be just under that 45 number, but you're not mad at that. You could say, all right, this is where he stands. I know we talked about this early in the year, what we expected out of him, and I think we said we wanted to see him hit 50, and we predicted that. Going to be just a few under again, but I think you're okay with that. That the rest of his game is becoming more well-rounded as we expected. He was already good at that, but another strong season of good defensive hockey, power play, penalty kill, and being able to produce and now hit 20 goals again. Now he's got one more year on the contract until his another RFA status. They're going to regret that they didn't lock him up last year long term for cheaper. I knew it at the time, and they're really going to regret it next year if he does it again for a third straight season.
yeah. He's just been so consistent too. Like the development path has been, or even early on, right? Like that first season when I think it was 22, 23. Like he wasn't putting up a ton of points, but you could see it. He still looked good. And then yeah, like these last 2 years, it's been so fun to to watch him really kind of show us what he's capable of. And he's still 24. Like he keeps growing. When he's 27, who knows? Maybe we're seeing like a 50 point guy, 55 point guy. That would be great. And he's just so versatile. Like you, every single cup winner has a guy like Simon Holmstrom, and just having that, being able to, he's been in the system his whole career, obviously since being drafted in 2019. Like he knows the organization. Yeah, like I would have loved to get him signed long term after last year. That obviously didn't happen, but he is still, he still will be an RFA at the end of next year. So obviously the hope there is to get him locked up long term. But yeah, he's such a good piece. Having that big body that can move so well is huge. Yeah, so I'm obviously hoping he comes back, hoping it's only a 1 game thing, because if this team's gonna make the playoffs, he's gonna be a huge part of it in these last 6 games.
Yeah, he's a core guy going forward for sure. And yeah, the fourth line's had some success too. The Gatcombe, Cizikas, McLean trio, they scored 2 goals on Saturday against Florida, and they've been doing their thing overall. So that's been good to see that they've been kind of eating up minutes. I know some people have been frustrated that they've been putting those same guys out there, but it's been working and they've been setting the tone. So can't really complain about that. Last forwards we want to discuss, Horvat and Barzal. I think I was on them. I did some TikTok live streams post-game saying that we needed some more. I think I made a video saying we needed some more from them because that game on Saturday against Florida, they had the 5 goals, but neither of them put up a point in that game, which is good to see that other people were producing. It just shows the disparity of this season, how we were all like, oh, everything was so great and everything is so bad just a few days later. But the last two games, they did put up some points, and Barzell had some good offensive game on Monday, obviously, before it all went to crap. But Horvat had 3 assists last night on 3 of the goals, so good to see them come back up. But I think, like we've been saying all year, like these guys have to carry the load offensively if the Islanders are going to have success here and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. Like Barzell's sitting at 68 points right now. Obviously, you expect him to hit that 70 point, 19 goals, 49 assists. Love to see him go 20 and 50. Um, it'll only be the third time in his career he hits 20 goals. And yeah, like it's your top guys need to be your top guys. And like you said, like that's been kind of what we've been saying this whole year. Obviously, Schaefer being as good as he has been a pleasant surprise. Um, Again, not to repeat what everyone says, but I don't think any of us really expected him to be this good this soon. So obviously he's been a huge help where, maybe on nights Barzell and Horvat aren't putting up the points that you'd like to see. Schaefer's still able to produce, kind of do his own thing and still producing. And then when they're all clicking, it's obviously great to watch. Um, but yeah, like these are the biggest games of the year. You need your biggest names to be your biggest names, be your best players. And yeah, like Horvat, I feel like the goal scoring has been down. I mean, same with Barzell. Like he's only scored 1 goal since scoring in overtime against St. Louis, and that was against Pittsburgh the other night. Yeah, and again, Barzell's a guy where I feel like when the games are big, like he comes through, and then I mean Horvat too. Obviously, I think he's already third for overtime goals in the regular season for the Islanders, despite being here 3 years. Like it's he comes up big in big moments, and they're both going to need to come through again these last 2 weeks. It's huge.
Yeah, a
So
lot of home games. I feel like they're big usually on home ice. They always get the crowd going with their goal scoring. So need that. And last topic of discussion before we kind of wrap things up here. Ilya Sorokin. He's been the reason the Islanders are here where they are. Another shutout, almost a second one in a week against Dallas, but they gave up the goal in the last minute. It's really a shame because he deserves this Vezina Trophy. He's the reason that the Islanders are even competing in this playoff race right now. And he's not going to win it because I think these 2 games against Pittsburgh and Montreal, giving up so many goals, probably tanked that. And it's not even his fault, which is just so ridiculous that they've given up these defensive chances. He makes a crazy save, and then the puck is just sitting there because nobody goes and picks up a guy. So frustrating. We're so blessed to have him in the net. And yeah, he's going to keep doing his thing. I think he plays every game the rest of the season. I don't see a way that they don't play him unless they already somehow find a way to clinch before the last game. That'd be the only reason, but there's no reason to expect that. So just assuming Ilya the rest of the way, and it's gonna have to be that way.
yeah, like again, that's another guy where we talked about it going into the year. Like if this team's gonna make the playoffs, Sorokin's gonna have to be on his game. And again, yeah, like that Pittsburgh game, like he gave up 7 goals, but you didn't even feel bad about his performance because, like, again, it's just the defensive breakdowns. It's like, what is he supposed to do? Like it really felt like nothing was really on him. I know people love to say that, right? But it truly did feel like he was just stuck there. Like no goalies are making those saves and keeping all those out of the net. Yeah, he's just been so good for this team. It's been like this his whole career as an Islander, really. Um, like he's just been a stud all the way through. And then yeah, like these last 6 games again, if he can put himself back by playing all 6, and I'm not gonna make any predictions for the record because you truly don't know. I also don't want to jinx anything. But like if he can get this team back into the playoffs, like who knows, maybe he gets back up into that. Even now, I still think he finishes number 2 to Vasilevsky.
Well,
But
I think it's just ridiculous because the league wants to give it to him anyways, Vasilevsky, because he's on a better team that has more wins. I don't know. I don't know how you turn away 7 shutouts, and I think that should
yeah,
matter more than wins, honestly, because there's obviously more that goes into it than save percentage and goals against. When Sorokin has every analytical category favoring him, saying he's the only reason his team is good, but if the Islanders don't make the playoffs, Sorokin's not going to win it. I'd be like, all right, that's fair at least. But if he wills them to the playoffs, it has to be him. I don't,
yeah,
but they're not going to give it to him. I'm expecting them not to, but would be nice. But
yeah. I know there's like that steals stat too, where it's like
yeah, he's got like
like
15 steals or
yeah, like
something.
it's no other goalie is putting up those numbers. Like I don't know what Vasilevsky has, but I mean Tampa's just a bunch. They've so many guys. They're so good. Like they're a better team, right? They're still in that race for number one in the East. Like yes, of course Vasilevsky's gonna have more wins. He's got a better team in front of him. And it's like Sorokin's gonna get Hart votes. Like even if this team misses the playoffs, right, I still think he'll get some Hart votes. But like if he brings his team to the playoffs, like he will be. I can see him finishing like top 5 or 6 in Hart voting. And I feel like you get that many Hart votes as a goalie, you should probably be the Vezina winner. So we'll see. But,
it's a good point.
Yeah, it'll
All right,
be
wrap things up a little bit here. Just some housekeeping and some prospects. Keyshawn Aitchison signed his ELC, so he'll finish. He's obviously in the playoffs with the Barrie Colts. They're a pretty solid team, so if they go on a little run, we'd expect him to that'd be the only hockey he plays this year. If they lose pretty early, he'll probably end up going to Bridgeport. Unlikely, though, with the amount of time left. Danny Nelson is staying for a senior year at Notre Dame. A little bit concerning just because, after next year, his rights would expire. Obviously, he's going to play with his brothers, so that's the part that's not concerning, but we'll get to that next year. I think that should be all right because he was at development camp and stuff like that. We talked about Yzerman last week. 2 weeks ago about him potentially signing. He did the next day, so he's been playing. He already scored, and actually Bridgeport's playing right now at the time of recording this. It's a little past noon here on Wednesday, April 1st, and they're playing like a morning game, and they're up 3-1. He has a primary assist. Victor Eklund signed, and he signed a while ago. He's been in Bridgeport now for a couple of games. He has 2 primary assists in this game, so that's something else we like to see. Bridgeport up 3-1. And then the big news overall with Bridgeport is that they are officially confirmed to be relocating to Hamilton, Ontario, starting with next season. So when we get more details on that, we'll discuss further, but they're going to a 18,000 seat arena, going to be playing in front of a packed house and some crazy fans up in Hamilton, which will be definitely good for the organization to get that exposure and good for the prospects and hopefully could attract some more free agents there. Again, feel bad for Bridgeport and the local community. I've been there a couple times to cover the team, interview players, and just a few other games as a fan before that. So some good experiences there. So it's sad to see them go and leave that close location, but I understand why the move is being made.
You just gotta hope at this point. Bridgeport's still in the playoff race, so you hope they can give those fans one last run this year before leaving for Canada.
And they've been playing well. They really have been. They've been getting all these boosts. Might be the best Bridgeport team ever, which is such a shame because that's why they're moving. They were so bad for so long. But they got a good squad there. Getting Yzerman and Eklund these pro minutes this year is going to be invaluable next season.
Yeah, it's good to see that. And again, they're doing well early on, so yeah, you just gotta hope they keep that up and then get Bridgeport in the playoffs, get them some playoff experience, and then gives them that taste, and then they're even more motivated for training camp in September.
Yeah, all right. I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Cole, any final thoughts for the last 2 weeks of the season before our last episode of the regular season will be coming out the day after the Islanders' last game, so it'll be April 15th will be our next one. So any final thoughts before then?
Just win. That's all it takes.
Just win. I like it. Win in Raleigh for Cole.
Yes.
I'll be there at the game Friday night, so we'll see if we can get a back-to-back wins for us there. Just win. That's it. That's how it's going to be. I'm going to keep making content on our socials at On Isles Time, so make sure to follow us there. Do some TikTok live streams after some games when I can. I'll obviously post about it if I'm not going to do it, but I'm gonna try to do some more of those and create more content on there, Instagram, and post them on YouTube as well. So this was On Isles Time. Make sure to listen here wherever you get your podcast, on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. And this was On Isles Time, episode number 20. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully the Islanders can pick up some wins in these last couple of games here and find their way into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Positive vibes, everybody.